All right, it's been a real long time since I've done anything to this SHO, to this show. I think I only have one upload on it actually, and that's just an introduction. I finally had some work done to the car because here's what happened. I decided I'm going to sell the car, and because I bought a 65 Falcon, I can't have two cars, you know, I got to pick one. So I picked the old car. It's more in line with my era, back when I was a teenager. But this was a fun car when I had it. I had a lot of good times with this car, and actually it performs really well. I had a new master cylinder put on it, and I put it up for sale. Needed a couple things. I had a pre-safety list done. It needed a little bit of exhaust work. I had something split at the front or something, I'm not sure. And I think there were some brake lines that maybe need to be changed. Nothing too major. Okay, so the structure of the car is good, the engine's good, everything's sound. I'll put it up for sale. I think $3,000 is a pretty reasonable price for a good solid SHO, 1995, automatic in good shape. You know, these really should be, I think, worth more. I think that just the way they drive and handle, I think they're really good cars. And anyway, all I could get is, like, one guy came by and he wanted something immaculate, basically off the showroom floor. And you know, I'm getting he goes, what do you take for it cash today? I said, you know what, 2,500 bucks, I'll take it today. You're getting a good car, no rust. It's been rust proofed underneath. The floors are all good, frame's good. Well, he drove away and didn't want it, not even for $2,500. And I said, you know what, the hell with people, which I'm sure a lot of people say on occasion now and then. I said, that's it. This is just going to be my winter car then. You know, I'm tired of driving that old Ford F-250 diesel. You know, it's a pain in the neck to start. It rides around. If I just want to run to the store, this will be my winter car. I know it's a sin to put a neat old SHO, a neat old show out in the snowy, salty weather. But I said, that's it. I'm just going to drive it until it's junk. People don't respect it for what it is. They don't give me any decent offers. No calls. No one's interested in these old shows. Fine, I'm going to drive it into the ground. Look at that, I even got snow tires for it. I think those rims and snow tires came off of the old lady said they were on a Ford Windstar, okay, Ford minivan. They fit this car perfectly. Don't interfere with the front brake rotors and stuff, that some rims that same size will interfere with the front brake rotors. So I took a jack along and I tried one wheel on the front at the lady's house in another town. Fit, didn't rub on anything, so I bought them all. They're on the car. And actually, here's my dilemma now. Winter's like over, and I'll get to this in a minute. I never did drive it in the winter, but I think it looks kind of cool with those black wheels on it. It just, I don't know. It just sort of adds to the sleeper mode of the show. So just before the snow hit, I took it out for a drive and went around a corner pretty hot, you know, the way you do in these cars that handle well. And all of a sudden, I don't know what went wrong, but all of a sudden the lights went dim, the dash lights went dim. And remember the old days when all of a sudden you knew you were just running on the battery only, your alternator wasn't working anymore, and you needed to get home right away? Well, of course, that's exactly what happened. And I could not get through traffic to save my life. Every single car was going slow, dawdling along, getting in my way, pulling out in front of me. I barely made it home. It would come on and go, come on and go. So, you know, I was lucky enough that this alternator lasted long enough just to get the car home. And then I ignored it. All winter long, it sat there with like 2 feet of snow on it. Never drove it, so it still hasn't seen salt. Still hasn't driven on snow. But I got to change that alternator, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Luckily, winter's over, and you don't have to worry about me winter driving the very good condition SHO 1995. Still for sale. $3,000 will take it. Now, one thing a lot of people do to these cars is set them on fire because I believe that it's the factory battery is a top post battery, and but it's a short battery. It's a low battery, so that the posts won't contact the hood. Okay. I think what'll happen if they pinch tight, they can wear through this insulation, short themselves out on the steel hood, and voila, you got a roaring fire and your car is gone. So the battery I have in here now is one I had laying around. It's a side post battery, and I have the terminals mounted to the side posts. And of course, the hardware for locking the battery down was lost years ago. So I made my own out of strapping and a piece of leather. But you know, you can tighten it down, but really under force, I think this could still be pushed over and you got the same problem. The terminals will short out on the engine. This one probably won't hit anything, but you never know, it could catch that. Doubt it, but it might. So what I've done is made like another strap runs over here, and the battery now, it can't. I could go race this thing and it's not gonna short on anything. So that's what I thought my problem was at first. I thought, oh, I must have got around that corner, the battery rolled over and touched some different things, but you know, there's no marks, there's no spark marks or anything. So, and when I pushed the battery, I couldn't get it over there. I think it just, what happened was the alternator went, and I think it's time now to change it. So, I don't know. Looks easy, but it'll probably be hard. I have to get this serpentine belt off and then start working on the bolts. I have a spare alternator. I went and looked at my shelf and I went, well, what's this alternator for? And it must have been something I bought at like a tailgate party or something. I think it's an alternator I bought when I was in Michigan at the SHO. And just in case I ever need an alternator, because apparently they're hard to come across. I'm not sure about that now, but anyway, I'm going to throw this other used one on that I got, and hopefully it works. But let's take a look at the voltage meter here first and see what we got. Let's clamp this onto the positive post, which is risky because it's near things, near ground. It's near framework and stuff, so I got to be careful. And I don't have a clamp for the negative, but I'll just touch the battery with this. And we end up with just under 12 volts. So I'm going to start the car. Hopefully it'll start on just under 12 volts. We'll find out. Fingers crossed. All right. That did not turn over very quick, but it started. All right, so here's the deal. Obviously it's charging right now. It's up to 14.4 volts. So the alternator is working, right? But I'm going to test it a little longer. I'm going to let it run 14.4. What if I rev it up? All right, not really much difference when I revved it. Oh, we'll keep an eye on this. Okay, I see this is down to 14.26 already. So what is it about an alternator that the longer you run it, the less voltage it's going to put out? Why did it start at 14.4 and now it's down to 14.2? Or it's going to get there shortly. That is one cool looking engine. I just can't believe they went through such an effort to build an engine like this, and all they did with it is put it in a Taurus. All right, I'm going to turn on the headlights and see if that makes any difference. What's it at? 13.76. Oh yeah. I'd say that made a humongous difference. Look at that. I put the headlights on, now it's just over 12 volts and dropping fast. Dropping down to nothing. Holy, eh? I'm gonna rev the engine again. Yeah, that's not helping me at all. Headlights on, just took out like 2 volts or so. I'm gonna turn them back off and see what happens. All right, it's still under 12 volts. Still Still under 12 volts. I'm going to call this alternator questionable. I don't know much about electronics and electricity, automotive electrical, so maybe there's a short somewhere. I don't know, but I'm going to change that alternator and see if it makes a difference. Take the negative one off first so I don't short the positive to something with the wrench. That would have caused a problem if I had to touch that wrench over to that bracket. Okay. All right, belt tensioner, where is it? I think the belt tensioner is at the back. Maybe I'll just take this battery tray out of here. Holy, how long is this? Oh, I think I got it. There we go. There's only one bolt holding this battery tray on. So. Really? There we go. All right, now what do we got going on? Let's get this battery cable out of the way. Of course, there's wires coming at it from both directions. And now that I have that battery tray out of the way, I can actually know better, because a Johnson bar won't hit the tray. No. Oh, that's it. Belt's going loose. So if I give that a bit of a crank, I can pull the belt off. Look at that. Uh-oh. Johnson bar is going back quite far, but I think it's going to sit in there nicely. All right. Now, I think, yeah, there's a bolt holding this alternator on behind this idler pulley. So it's going to have to come off. 14, I think it was 14 millimeters. It is. Should be able to put this wrench on here, throw a pipe on over it, give it a crank. Oh, I'm going to have to loosen it. That way. It's working. Would have been nicer to put a socket on it, but can't find my 14 mil. There we go. Okay, I'll just keep this all together. I see there's some kind of spacer inside there, so I'm going to keep this as an assembly off to the side. Now I can get to all of the alternator bolts. Okay, I had this off once and I needed a screwdriver. Okay, let's do that little, here we go. Put that out of the way. Okay, should be able to see no problem down here. I got to get that off, of course, with the battery disconnected, or I'd be short and sparks all over the place. And check this out, I just noticed the label here tells me exactly where the tensioner is at the back. It's the one I discovered. These other two are just idlers. There we go. Oh, it wasn't even on tight. It's probably not supposed to be on tight. It's probably up against an insulator. Oh, I grab the washer. Oh, no, the washer. There's no washer. The washer is attached to the nut. Not sure what they call that. Well, I guess I can just start loosening nuts. Just looks like there's 4 of them holding this alternator on. Gee, only 4, eh? I thought maybe 17 or 18 should hold on this alternator. I think when we were kids, our big V8s only had like 2. Yeah, one holds it at the bottom, and then the top one was your adjustment nut, and that was it. But this engine is rated at 11,000 RPM, so they want that alternator to sit perfectly still and solid. I suspect this is going to be the toughest one, so I might as well do it first. 9/16. Oh boy, it's a lot of slop in this ratchet. Give it a try anyway. Oh, it clicked once. There we go. Just have to smash your hand with your other hand. Oops. Hold it with your thumb. Into the bin it goes. Okay. Next. Probably the top one would be the easiest, so I'm going to leave it to the last. Sounds good. Okay, I think that would have been the next hardest one. That's why I did it next. That way the alternator is still secure and it's spot tight with two other bolts. And it should, these harder ones then should come out by hand easier. I'm going to make sure it's the same length as the other one that I pulled out. Otherwise, I'll separate them so I know. Yeah. Okay, this one's way longer, so I'm going to put it actually just on this little tray here. Give it a shove. Okay, that's the same length as the last one. The alternator spins fine, but I thought I heard a little something inside of it there. Holy, there it goes. There it goes, and it's staying tight. I don't like that. I kind of like to feel it loosen up. I'm a little nervous about what's happening to these threads. Yeah, I don't really like that, but if it's the bolt, I'll chase the threads with a tap. If it's the alternator, I don't care because I'm technically not putting this alternator back on. It's junk. Okay, another shorty. Same as the other one that was up on top. Let's get that out of here. And maybe I should have checked to see if my other one on the shelf is really identical to this, but pretty sure it is. Oh yeah, that looks the same. That looks the same. And how's it sound? I don't hear any little clicking in there. The other one had some kind of little clicking going on inside there. So let's pop this in and see what happens. Snug. Snug. Okay. I've decided that's tight enough. And just really loosely. Not tight. Just loose. I mean, snug. Put the boot on. Snap that in. There we go. What else? Put the belt back on. How about that? Put on the, remember I said I was taking this off as an assembly? Well, now I can put it back on as an assembly. Should probably put a new belt on before, you know, before too long. I feel a little tiny ridge in it there, so what I'll do, I'm going to change a belt. Not on this job, but it's not really that hard to get in here now that I've done it once. And I'm going to pull off all of these idler pulleys or idler wheels and clean them up, put them on the wire wheel. I feel a little bit of an edge to that one. Don't like that. So I'll get that all shiny and clean when I get a new belt. Okay, that's on there plenty tight. Let's get this belt back on. If I crank on this Johnson bar back here, is that going to loosen it up enough? Oh, it is, I think. Or not. That's where it stopped right there, so there we go. Come on. Come on. There we go. All right, that's on there. Okay, so pull off this Johnson bar with, I can't remember what the millimeters was. I think, well, I just can't remember. But the socket that does work in Imperial is 21/32. Everybody has one of those, maybe 2 or 3. All right, just have to put the battery box back in. Probably have to boost the car. Let's try this out. Okay. And nice and tight. Okay, battery's not going anywhere. Go ahead and put the cables back on positive first. For sure. I'll get the right battery one of these days. Top post short. I like to just double check now and then, make sure it says negative, make sure I'm not screwing around with the positive terminal. Yep. I've done that a few times. Try to work on a car with the battery hooked up when I was young and stupid. Now I'm old and stupid, so I check now and then. All right, we're hooked up. Let's see if this car will start. Okay, it might not start because of all the fiddling I was doing before, wearing the battery down. But let's give it a try. Okay, let's hook up the meter. Got that on good. And wish me luck. Whoop, whoop. Okay. 14.3 and holding. There we go. Okay. 14.3. Okay. 14.2. That's awesome. And holding. I'm not going to call it a solid win until I let it idle for a while and see if it starts dropping as it warms up, because that was my problem before. Oh, it's not where it was when I started. I'm going to have to wait it out. High 13s and holding. I'm pretty sure by now it would have been right down and out. Holding at 13.8. That's a good sign that when I'm revving it up, it's going back up to 13.8. Well, that was weird. Kind of kicking on and off there. 13.8, 13.8, 13.8, 13.6, 13.4. What's that all about, folks? I need comments. Let's educate some people. There's nothing online about this. I couldn't find, I mean, there probably is, but I couldn't find it in the 48 seconds that I searched for it. So, alright, I'm going to have to shut it down because it's pitch black out and these cameras don't work well in low light, let alone no light. So, I'm going to shut it down. It's still at 13.7 volts. So, I'm going to come out tomorrow, crank it up and see what we got. I think we're fixed. Speed. It's yours to discover.